In today's video, we'll explore a fascinating topic: parasitic organisms and their hosts, or victims. With the recent popularity of the series The Last of Us, this evolutionary strategy has garnered considerable attention. Developed over millions of years and utilized by various life forms, including the infamous fungus Ophiocordyceps Unilateralis, it's a strategy that certainly warrants an in-depth examination. For countless years, deep within tropical rainforests, a relentless struggle has unfolded. It's a battle between ant colonies and the diverse species of fungi that infect them, a conflict that has driven an evolutionary arms race for survival. Parasitic fungi depend on a host for reproduction and survival. Ants are a prime target for these fungi, as they make up roughly 70% of the individual insects in tropical rainforests, providing a vast array of potential hosts for these pathogens. Nevertheless, ants have developed robust defenses against these invasions. Through tireless labor and a strong community spirit, they work together to rid each other of pathogens. If an ant becomes infected, it is isolated from the colony to prevent the infection from spreading, always prioritizing the welfare of the colony over that of the individual. This approach may seem harsh, but it is effective in staving off diseases. However, even these defense mechanisms can be breached. In the tropical rainforests of Thailand, for example, one might encounter ants that have essentially become zombies, controlled by the notorious fungus Ophiocordyceps Unilateralis, which seizes complete control over its host until death. The fungus then uses the deceased ant as a platform for the reproduction and dispersal of its spores. This survival tactic is both terrifying and fascinating, drawing a striking parallel to the plots of zombie-themed films and series. But from a scientific standpoint, how is this possible? Should we be concerned that these parasitic entities could someday exert control over humans as they do over some insects? In today's video, we aim to shed light on what science has uncovered about this extraordinary fungus. The ant species Camponotus leonardi lives in the forest canopy, building an intricate network of trails along the branches. These ants generally stay safe in the treetops, but occasionally, they encounter an obstacle that forces them down to the forest floor. This is when Ophiocordyceps Unilateralis, a highly specialized and infectious fungus, comes into play. When one of the fungus's microscopic spores comes into contact with an ant, it attaches to the exoskeleton, likely penetrating the insect's body through the cuticle using enzymatic processes. Once inside, the fungus begins consuming non-essential tissues. At this point, it initiates the process of subjugating the ant. For about a week, the infected ants seem perfectly normal, carrying on their duties undetected by the rest of the colony. Eventually, once the fungus has sufficiently matured within the ant, it compels the ant to abandon the safety of the colony, descend to the forest floor, and climb a plant, where it forces the ant to bite down onto a leaf vein with its mandibles. The fungus then kills the ant and continues to grow, with its mycelium invading more of the soft tissues while structurally reinforcing the exoskeleton of its now deceased host. The mycelium, a fungal structure made up of filaments, forms a branched mass resembling an extensive network of threads, akin to tiny roots primarily used for nourishment. Each of these filaments is called a hypha. After spreading throughout the ant's corpse, the mycelium ultimately anchors itself to the plant where the ant died, secreting an antimicrobial compound to fend off competitors. When the fungus is ready to reproduce, its fruiting bodies, known as sporocarps, emerge from the ant's head and release spores which seek out new hosts. Sporocarps are the reproductive structures that fungi produce during their sexual phase. Common mushrooms, for example, are a type of sporocarp. Interestingly, studies have shown that the location where the ant clamps down is remarkably precise. Researchers found that 98% of the ants bit down on the leaf's vein, and nearly all of them did so on the north side of the plant, on a leaf precisely 10 inches above the ground. These leaves were located in environments with 94% to 95% humidity and temperatures ranging from 68 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. These factors are no coincidence. They represent the optimal conditions for the fungus to grow. This remarkable precision highlights the fungus's incredible control over its host. Additionally, since the ant usually descends to a plant within its own colony's territory, the fungal spores often fall onto other ants, potentially setting off a zombie apocalypse within the colony. While the phenomenon of zombie ants was first documented over a century ago, only recently have scientists begun to uncover how Ophiocordyceps Unilateralis exerts such precise control over its hosts. Despite many unanswered questions, recent research using artificial intelligence is providing new insights. Researchers discovered that the fungal cells in the ant's legs might play a crucial role in subjugating the host, possibly by emitting chemical signals to alter its behavior. Scientists also sought to determine whether the ant's brain was completely or only partially infected by the fungus. Using laser microscopy to examine the nervous tissue in the heads of infected ants, they found something truly unexpected. The fungus had not invaded the ant's brain tissue. Instead, fungal cells were concentrated around the brain, but none were detected inside it. This finding raises a fascinating question: how does the fungus control the ant if the brain remains intact? Further examination of the infected ant's body revealed fungal cells embedded among the muscle fibers in the head and legs. To quantify the presence of fungal cells within the ant's tissues, scientists employed a deep learning algorithm capable of rapidly identifying fungal structures, which enabled them to construct a detailed 3D model. In this model, scientists observed that the network of fungal filaments, or hyphae, was interconnected with other hyphal structures, some of which invaded the ant's muscles, penetrating cell membranes and proliferating within. Biologists have long recognized that these networks of cylindrical filaments facilitate the transfer of chemicals, nutrients, and even signals, creating a complex system within the ant's body that connects fungal cells to one another and to the ant's muscles. This suggests that the fungus does not exert mental control to direct the ant to its required destination. Instead, it manipulates the host through muscular control, commandeering its motor system. It is plausible that the ant's brain remains completely intact, potentially leaving the ant conscious yet unable to resist, trapped as though it were a prisoner within its own body. However, many aspects of this process remain unknown, including the exact chemical signals the fungus uses to hijack the ant's muscles. Scientists are diligently working to unravel the mysteries behind these zombie ants. This phenomenon raises several questions. How often does it occur? Are ants the only victims of this type of infection? Should we be concerned that the scenario depicted in The Last of Us is more than science fiction and could foreshadow a possible future reality? While ants are the primary hosts of Ophiocordyceps Unilateralis, the fungus can also infect other insects and arachnids, such as tarantulas and beetles, leading them to a similar fate. Interestingly, the fungus lacks the ability to manipulate the motor systems of these other creatures as it does with ants. Regarding the overarching question posed in this video, whether these organisms could one day threaten humanity, it is highly unlikely, though not entirely impossible. Even if humans were susceptible to such an infection, evolution would require millions of years to refine the fungus's ability to influence human behavior. Meanwhile, human technology would likely develop countermeasures in a matter of years or even months. Additionally, public health protocols designed to contain the spread of pandemics would be implemented in population centers, significantly reducing the threat. It's also essential to remember that life as we know it would not exist without fungi. They play a critical role in maintaining ecological balance. For example, fungi form symbiotic relationships with plants, starting with their roots, where fungi provide essential nutrients and water in exchange for carbohydrates produced through photosynthesis. These symbioses are vital for the survival of many plant species, which would otherwise struggle with drought, nutrient-poor soils, or increased vulnerability to bacterial or insect attacks. Without these relationships, forests as we know them would cease to exist. Furthermore, fungi play a pivotal role in shaping habitats and soil structure by acting as decomposers of organic matter and recyclers of nutrients. Without fungi, we wouldn't have penicillin, cheese, bread, wine, or beer. They are essential to countless aspects of life, making it clear that, rather than fearing them, we should appreciate the myriad benefits they provide to life on Earth. And that concludes today's video from Via Doctus. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.